ladies and gentlemen, you may all know me from the all-inclusive Mega Man X retrospective, where I had reviewed all 12 Mega Man X games. Logically, the next step is the Zero series, but I don't feel like it, so since the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 just came out, I figured I should give it a review just to give you Mega Man fans something to enjoy in the meantime. If you're a follower of me on this channel and my other channel, Jay's Let's Plays, then you would know that I had done an LP of the 11 mainline classic Mega Man titles in the first half of 2016, and that was a part of the reason why I didn't review the classic series. Obviously, I'll do it at some point, but that's neither here nor there. Of all the Mega Man franchises I've played, those being the ones in the main timeline, the classic series has always been my least favorite. However, that doesn't mean I don't get a kick out of them, because I sure as hell do. That's why I was excited to hear about the news in the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2. The first one that released back in 2015 was a ton of fun. It was a huge value, being available for $15 for 6 whole Mega Man games, in addition to a ton of bonus content such as marketing material and concept art, as well as bonus challenges to play to keep Mega Man veterans busy. You had access to the full soundtracks, and with the update that was released, you can even play the Rockman versions of the 6 NES Mega Man games. Think about it, all that for $15, when just getting the games on Wii U would cost $30, half the price for double the value. So that leads us swimmingly into the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2, which is a compilation containing obviously Mega Man 7, Mega Man 8, Mega Man 9, and Mega Man 10. Let me just quote one fire before beginning though. People always say, what? 4 games? That's even less than before. I could just go play my perfectly functional Anniversary Collection from the PS2. Well, my response is that if you really want to play the smeary 480i collection with a button-lagged Mega Man 8, that's entirely up to you. But I don't think there's a single person in 2017 who's never played these games who's going to want to do that. And if there's a better alternative, then I'm sure as hell going to use it over the old collection. If you already own these games in several ways, that's fine. You don't have to buy this, but if you want to support the series, then I'd say it comes recommended. It is disappointing that this collection doesn't come with Mega Man and Bass as well as any of the spin-offs on the Game Boy and Game Gear, but what about what we do have is the question. For this review, I'm not going to focus on the quality of Mega Man 7 through 10. What matters is how well the Legacy Collection 2 takes these 4 games, how it makes them look and play in addition to the extra content, stuff like that. When the game starts, we have a few choices to pick from, like the first Legacy Collection, and by that I mean we can listen to the soundtracks of all 4 of these games, which is definitely a plus, seeing as all these soundtracks are really good. There are extra options, or mainly the ability to use save states and to reduce the damage you take, both of which would be an overkill in Mega Man 7, 8, and 10, but could probably be useful in 9. Hell, even some parts of 8, because those games take no prisoners. The challenge mode is back from the first collection, and so you get to play the stage remixes where you play highlights of various stages, and you fight the bosses and mini-bosses and try to beat your best time for the leaderboards. Lastly, the museum is open for looking at concept art, and I have never not enjoyed this sort of thing. Whenever I did a playthrough on the original Legacy Collection, or when I did my Sly 1 LP and eventually 2 and 3, I've always stopped to appreciate this sort of thing. It's good to see how games you know and love, or maybe even loathe, came to be. In this menu you can also fight the bosses by clicking on their pictures, which is an addition I was not expecting, but it's cool nonetheless. When actually picking a game, you're instantly taken to the title screen of each, which the first Legacy Collection didn't do, but I'm mixed on this. Yeah, you get to start the game right up, but each game had an intro when they first came out. I guess you could wait at the title screen, but why not just leave it the way it is? For Mega Man 7, 9, and 10, I was not very concerned about how they played, since the core gameplay of those games has always been consistent in all their various ports they've received. Although I am very happy to report that these games all play as well as they ever have. On some ports of Mega Man 7, I noticed it was a bit sluggish in the jumps, but here I noticed none of that, with responsive button inputs in each game. Which means that in Mega Man 8, I beat Frostman stage only having died 1 time, and that was probably even my own doing to begin with. With Mega Man 9 and 10, I never had a problem with the controls and physics, and so as a result, they play just as well as they ever have before. With this being emulation, we have standard emulator features like the ability to use auto fire, as well as the already above mentioned save states, which can be a great aid in the most difficult moments of each game. So that only leaves the graphics and settings to come with it. Each game looks phenomenal. It would be tough to tell the difference between this and emulation from my experience. The pixels are sharp, and that's what I love about this collection, since the digital versions on Wii U and PSN for 7 and 8 had done some blurring to the games, which is just not happening here. Although if you like scan lines, they're also in this game, but I hate them, so moving on. Mega Man 9 and 10 have always had a blur to them when playing on the PS3 version, and I even said that in the old Mega Man 9 LP. I thought it held the visuals back, because I for one think retro-styled games look better with sharper pixels. It's why nobody ever turns bilinear filtering on when emulating games. So here in the Legacy Collection 2, these games do just that, and I think they look much better for it. Also, it should be noted that 9 and 10 have the Proto Man and Bass DLC available at default, which is a plus. In terms of aspect ratio, the compilation is faithful to the screen ratios of the consoles they're from, or were pretending to be from. As a result, there is original mode, which I wouldn't recommend because the screen is a bit too small for my liking. I think full is the way to go for each of these games, since the other alternative is stretched and Nobody likes it that way, so let's move on. The first collection had the option for borders, however, in that one I hardly ever used them, seeing as I thought they were an eyesore. I've grown used to them, but I still think they're too colorful and therefore distract from the game. Which is why I like the fact that most of the border types in this compilation are much darker, allowing for black space to be filled up, but at the same time still not take away from the action. Yes, I did say most border types, since you get 4 options, as well as the ability to not use any of which is probably what I'm going to do going forward. It doesn't really matter which you choose, since one will display special weapons, one will do character art, which is my preference, one will do the boss's art, and another will have the robot master's profiles, which is my least favorite for sure, seeing as again, it's a bit of an eyesore. Also, the original version of Mega Man 10 had a border, and that's an option for the game as well, which is a nice touch. Although one big flaw I have with Mega Man 9's borders is that the game still has black space on the sides, and yet there's a border on each side of the black space. Like, I don't get that. Isn't the point of a border to remove black space? And yet here we are with Mega Man 9. Most of the screen is filled by the game and the border, but there's still some black edges left, and no matter which setting you use, it'll always be there. Which just doesn't make any sense to me. Which is why it looks cleaner for Mega Man 9 to not have a border on, similar to the first Legacy Collection in games like Mega Man 3 through 6, where there was just this black line on the side. With that said though, that just about covers the Mega Man Legacy Collection too. I know it was short, but I figured I'd update you all on my thoughts on the compilation, since I know you guys love it when I talk about Mega Man. Well, in case anyone was wondering, my plan is to talk about them in 2018. Why? Well, the X reviews ended in April, so it's too soon. Weird how it's already been that long since the end, and about a year since the beginning, but that's neither here nor there. How is the Mega Man Legacy Collection 2 overall, though? Well, I love it. I was singing the praises of the original Legacy Collection back in 2015 for giving a value for both old and new fans alike, and that's exactly what they've done. For just $20, you can appreciate 4 classic Mega Man adventures that are often overlooked in comparison to the first 6 outings. All with the DLC included with bonus art and challenge modes to keep any Mega Man fan busy? Yeah, this was definitely worth every single penny and is now the default version of all 4 of these games, like the first collection is to the original NES titles. Think about this. This collection is coming to store shelves and it's going to be $20 like I said. That's value for 2 reasons alone. Mega Man 7's physical copies are fetching for absurdly high prices on eBay and Amazon, and here we are right now with Mega Man 7 physical copies available for cheap and not in 480i. But the real draw here is Mega Man 9 and 10 being available for purchase in stores. That is huge. These games have been digital only for so long now, and they've run the risk that any game on the digital storefront has, that the companies can feel free to delete them at their discretion, like Turtles in Time Reshelled or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Games you can look up everything on but cannot play by conventional means because they just got taken down. Hell, I think Maverick Hunter X was taken down but reinstated by popular demand. So in other words, Mega Man 9 and 10 can never be lost to the digital ether, and that is a great thing. A few more games would have been nice, but in this case, beggars can't be choosers. Not to say consumer interest isn't important, but seriously, like I said at the beginning, buying this collection is doing the Mega Man series that we all know and love a lot more good than a forum post ever will. Vote with your dollar is the moral of this story. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.